Wait, what is this shit?
The Not Safe for F***ing Worker Placement podcast.
I flipped the board. I despise that game. Oh, shit. That sounds... Oh, wait. Hello and welcome to the Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast, a board game podcast brought to you by me, Leandra.
And me, Ben.
We're married and we're here to talk shit about board games.
You almost did it perfectly. You
What did
forgot the 29th episode.
Oh, shit.
I even wrote that there.
Crap.
Okay,
Man.
but we're not going to do a take two because...
That's because it was hiding underneath the cords. I couldn't even see it.
It's all live. Okay.
Crap.
So
I always screw it up and he always has to redo it for me.
So some of the best albums in the history of rock and roll were live albums. You got Frampton Comes Alive. He probably wouldn't even have been in Jesus Christ Superstar without that one. I don't know if the timeline works out or not. The one might have been before the other. You got Cheap Trick live at Budokan.
Someone just gave us a thumbs up and I don't know who it is.
I don't either. I can't see anybody on there. Either way. But so this is hopefully going to be our great live album, even though I don't think a good live album's been made since like 1985. But we're going to try to add this to our catalog. So we are live right now on Facebook Live, and we're not at all nervous about it.
Not at all.
If anybody is listening or watching live, we're going to try to do this to incorporate it with the podcast itself. If it's totally goofy on the podcast, we may just cut this part out of the podcast. Depends on if there's a lot of dead air. We're just going to kind of try to do the show. And if you have any questions or anything, just go ahead and post them in the comments and we'll read them out. Otherwise, we're just going to kind of go into our show. The reason that we're going to do a little bit of live segment here is because right now, the convention that I help put on and Leandra goes to every year so far is right now kickstarting our second annual event. It's Moon City Con here in Springfield, Missouri. The Kickstarter's got 19 days left, so we want to just kind of do something to promote it a little extra special. So we thought we'd go live here and see if anybody wanted to join us. And we are going to do a little bit of promotion for it in the way of like give some incentives. So we have different backer options. We've got a $35 option. We've got a $50 option, a $100 option, two different $100 options, one for a family and one for just like the captain of the crew level, it's called. So you can get all the good swag and all that stuff. During this little promotion that we're going to run from the time that this episode goes up right now and then is posted until the 17th, which is the end of the Kickstarter, we will offer anybody who goes through us and buys a ticket. You can go to www.mooncitycon.com and there's a link right there, or you can just go on Kickstarter and search Moon City Con. And if you sign up there, there's a little place where you can put a memo to the creators. If you'll just put NSFWP podcast there, I and Leandra will supply you with free t-shirts.
Yay!
That's our plan. So at the $100 backer level of the captain of the crew, you get a free Moon City Con exclusive captain's t-shirt, but we're going to give you the option to get an NSFWP shirt or Moon City Con shirt if you get at the lower levels, like the $35 level and the $50 level don't come with t-shirts. And if you do back at the $100 level with the NSFWP memo in that little section, I will make you any t-shirt you can imagine. So just come up with an idea. I don't care how crazy it is. If you want, anything, if you want your grandmother's face on a t-shirt, just send me a picture. I'll make it awesome. If you want a Moon City custom t-shirt, if you want it with like a bunch of people with butts hanging out of cars that says Moon City on it, I don't care. I don't know if you can wear that at the con, but we'll have to go over that with the legal department. But anyway, any kind of t-shirt you want, if you back at the $100 level, that means you're coming anyway. You're going to get a Moon City Con t-shirt to begin with. So I will make a custom t-shirt any old way you want. So that's our offer. So putting that on the table and it'll be posted, but you can do it now. Be the first in, be the first to get an awesome t-shirt.
So how about, just in case we're reaching anyone that doesn't know what Moon City is, why don't you explain what Moon City is?
Well, Moon City Con is a board game convention. So you probably heard us talk about it before if you've listened to the podcast. And if you're from our area, it is Southwest Missouri's best tabletop gaming convention. So we like to pattern ourselves after the big boys like Gen Con, not really like Gen Con, but like more like Geekway. We're kind of patterned after Geekway in St. Louis. And we like that it's just all gaming. Like Gen Con is more about buying games and stuff. Geekway and Origins, to a lesser extent even, are just about playing games. And that's what our con is about. And everybody that's involved in putting our con on is really focused on making the event as gamer friendly as they can. We don't want to have a lot of music. We don't like music playing. I do, but for the most part, we don't like it at conventions when there's music playing and some people are trying to play different kind of games. So that's just one aspect. And having not a ton of announcements all day long and stuff like that, and having scheduled events that go off when they're supposed to. So if you want to be part of a tournament or something, that you can do that, or you can just take all those days of just pure gaming from sunup to sundown. We've got this hall at the Oasis Inn and Convention Center in Springfield for pretty much from, you can check in at 9 o'clock and go until officially midnight, but we'll be there till long after that, and that's totally fine as well. So 3 days this year. It's September 6th, 7th, and 8th. So we're doing this as kind of like, think of this like a PBS pledge drive, but with less Cat Stevens box sets. Maybe the same amount of mystery, Masterpiece Theater. Is that what it's called? Masterpiece Theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some crime solving games. So that'll be our Masterpiece Theater segment. So anyway, we're not going to spiel the whole time about that, but that is the reason that we're going live, to promote Moon City Con. So you can check that out, our Facebook page as well, Moon City Con on Facebook, also mooncitycon.com. And that'll give you a link straight to the Kickstarter, which is on right now. So remember, add that NSFWP to the memo, or just message us on Facebook or whatever, and I can check your name. And if I see that you bought one, you're also in. I want to make it as easy as possible. Get those free NSFWP or Moon City Con t-shirts, courtesy of us. So, okay, we have one comment now. That is from you. Do you think that nobody's really watching?
No one's really watching.
Or do we just not know how to work this interface, and then we don't know if anybody's watching? It would show
how many people are watching.
I don't know. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. So nobody's watching.
I did a live video last weekend when it hailed, and it showed me having like 5 viewers.
Where are all the people that want to see the hailstorm? They don't want to see us make fools of ourselves?
No.
That's fine. Hey, you were nervous about it. Nobody's listening anyway.
Apparently not.
But this video will be up for people to watch later on, and that's good. So let's get on to the actual meat and potatoes part of the show. And if anybody wants to, chime in or whatever, if you're watching, just let us know. At least give us a thumbs up or a heart or something. It could be that we're not even really live and we think we are, but that could also be
We've gotten
the
one
case.
like already from Max.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Max. Max who?
Benitez. He
Oh,
was
cool.
my employee.
Oh, that
He
Max.
left me to go to college.
That's right. Okay. Well, that's cool. Thanks, Max.
Yeah.
You're a gem. All right. So what do we always do after we've done plugs, which we essentially did by plugging Moon City Con? We do.
What have we been playing recently?
Yay, fanfare. Okay. Oh, I was going to show off this Moon City Con shirt just for fun.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to wear it. This is the NSFWP shirt you can get. This Moon City Con design is one that we'll give you. Mine has chili stains from the chili cook-off last weekend. Is why I didn't wear it. Hopefully you could see that. So you can get your hands on a sweet, sweet one of those. All right. Wrap it around your parts. So,
wow. That's
what have
lovely.
we been playing recently, babe? What's number one on our list?
Oh, Chronicles of Crime.
Chronicles of Crime. Okay.
I don't need the box. I remember that one.
Well, we're live, so I'm using visual aids.
Okay.
So this is Chronicles of Crime. It's by Lucky Duck Games, and it is sort of a evolution of like the crime-solving games that are all the rage. So we played a lot of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, big favorite of ours, right? You really like that one.
I do.
But what's the downfall of that game? Like somebody's got to read 1,000 words.
Yes, and lots of notes.
Tons of notes, right?
Yeah.
So And if you're playing with Vaughn, then he does terrible accents, and then
True story.
you like read that again. I'm trying to get the details here. And then if I'm doing it, everybody sounds like they're from Australia, even though they're supposed to be English. So anyhow, we've played a lot of that, but there is kind of a barrier to entry on that because
Hey, look, we have a viewer.
Hey, sweet. Hey, Steve. What's up, man? All right, knock knock. Who's there? Spang who?
Where the
Spangarang?
hell is this going?
I don't know. Steve's the joke man. I just tried to come up with a real slick knock knock joke.
I'm sorry, Steve.
It didn't work.
I'm sorry.
But, it went over about as good as most of Steve's jokes. So, I did have...
Who's there? See, he's trying.
Who's there?
You said knock knock.
I know. I don't know. I don't have the rest of the jokes, Steve. You're supposed to supply that. Let me redo that. You say knock knock. I'll say who's there. You probably locked and loaded with one. So do that. Give us a punchline to one. Spick and spang. That's pretty good. I like that. You got to keep that head a little bit more cleanly shaved to make that work, though. All right. So Chronicles of Crime. That's what we're talking about. I think on the Secret Cabal, that podcast that Steve does, they were talking about wanting to try that. They play a lot of detective. That's the other new version of that evolution where of like the Sherlock Holmes, because Sherlock Holmes is all books. There's some typos and weird stuff, hard for them to update, right? If they get something wrong, it's hard for them to update it. But these newer versions, like the detective, it uses you go to a website, I think, and then you can search stuff through like their actual internet, and then their like site that interacts with stuff uses like modern day real life stuff. Then Chronicles of Crime is more of a modern day version, a crime solving version in London. So it's sort of like Sherlock Holmes, but in modern times. Mm-hmm. And it uses completely app based technology. So the whole game is just, you get this box, right? And it's pretty much empty. It's just a few cards and slots and one board that lays out just to put the cards out on to kind of keep track of stuff. You got four specialists.
Yeah, you get a criminologist, a doctor, a hacker, and then the criminal evidence.
The forensic evidence person. Yeah.
Oh, Steve said knock knock.
Oh, who's there? Who's there, Steve? We got a long lag. Okay, we'll wait for that. Yeah, I think it takes about 30 seconds for this. This is not the appropriate way to do knock knock jokes. Babe. So anyway, let me take my pants off real fast. So anyhow, you get these specialists, and then you get this big stack of locations, and then they can...
Boo-hoo. I'm helping.
You are helping. Very good. And we'll be back with the conclusion of this riveting knock-knock joke. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, why are you crying about it, right?
I would assume that's what we're doing.
I hate to spoil it, but spoiler alert. It's gots to be.
Yes.
See? There we go.
Good job, babe.
All right. So we found out one thing about Facebook Live. It's not a great forum for knock-knock jokes.
It is not. But we do appreciate Steve. Thanks for helping.
Yes, we need all the help we can get. So where were we at? Oh, yeah, Chronicles of Crime.
Yes.
So anyway, it's an app-based one of these. So basically, you're going through this app. Now, what I like about this one versus some of the other ones is like the stories are pretty hard-boiled, right? The stories are pretty... They don't pull any punches.
No.
Like, there's... when
we're
talking,
like stealing organs.
Yeah, there's organ trafficking, there's adult language, and there's, everybody's having an affair with everybody else, and it is a real interconnected thing.
And then just when we think we're done with it and ready to solve, some random clue comes out. We're like, where in the hell did that just come from? And that leads out to a whole nother scenario that we had no idea even existed.
Yeah, and I really like this one. I think so I like everything about it. I think it's fun. It's my favorite version of one of these yet. We haven't tried detective, but I like it better than Sherlock Holmes, consulting detective.
I like to take notes.
Yeah, but we learned, though, it's important to take notes even with this game.
No, because you can rewind all the notes.
That's true. We didn't know that you could go back and rewind all the text that you've read. So that actually did kind of get rid of the need for notes. But still, you took a lot of notes, which I think it helps us both grasp, like, wait, who is that guy and what was his deal? We also started using like cubes and shit and like pawns to like set out on the board. Like
yellow we haven't talked to yet. Green, we've already been there and talked to.
Yeah, because otherwise you can waste your time by going and asking people.
Meeples of some kind to.
So we're like wasting our time by asking going to the person we already talked to. So stuff like that you got to keep track of. But it's expandable. I really like what they've done with it. I like the system. It's very smooth. You're scanning QR codes, and so it makes all this deck of cards that have all these character portraits, makes them be able to be used as different characters in different scenarios, which is really cool. And there's a big old stack of them, so they can make them fit to the characterization.
Sometimes it can be a little frustrating, like when we know we found a clue and then we go back to the person with that clue and we're like, hey, we need to talk to you about this clue. And then they still say the thing that they had said originally. I don't know anything about that person.
Yeah, why would you ask?
We have a clue.
Why would you ask me about that? I'm like, because you're like the chief of police, man. Why would we not ask you about it? And they're like, go away. So that's sort of annoying. But you got to kind of figure out what cards to scan in what order to make people, to like unlock some more like pathways in the conversations. So that's kind of cool. It's got its flaws in that way where it's not completely intuitive, but it doesn't hold your hand in that either. It just kind of lets you go. And it has the cool thing of like the one thing it has over any of the other ones that I've seen is it has this thing where you use it virtual reality, or you can just use with the iPad. We hold the iPad up and you can move it around 360 and look at the crime scenes. So that's really cool.
And that's where notes come in handy. You can write down everything that you see, and then you go back and you tell them what clues did you find. And so, of course, having everything written down is very helpful.
Yep, that's really cool. So we haven't tried it with the VR yet because the iPad works really well with the bigger screen to kind of look around. I don't know. Chronicles of Crime, I really like it.
I do too. We have the new expansion.
Yeah. So this just came out, I think, the Noir expansion. I'll hold up the box for those of you who are live. So that's throwing it into the, hard-boiled detective 1920s era type stuff. What do we got here? Pro tip. If you run behind a car, you get exhausted. And if you run ahead of a car, you get tired. Very nice, Steve. God, he's giving us the gold now.
Yes, I like it.
Man. Steve, you got to save some of these for your weekly videos that you guys do. You're going to run out of material fast. But I think somebody on that podcast had like the 101 bad joke book thing.
Oh,
so
geez.
I don't know if he's still working out of that or if this is all new material now. So, but very good, Steve.
Yes.
I'll add the laughs post in the post editing.
Yes. Yes. Clapping and laughing.
So,
He said he's cutting us off. You're right. He's cutting us off.
That's right. I am cutting you off.
He's cutting us off. So he
he's
doesn't lose all of his jokes.
Oh, that's true.
You just told him to do that.
Damn. Sorry. Keep them coming, Steve. Any hoozles. So that's Chronicles of Crime. And I'm going to stop talking about it because Steve's got the good jokes. He's got the gold. So we don't want to cut off the flow if he's really rolling tonight. What's the next game on our list, babe?
Silk.
Silk. Okay, Silk is a game by a company called DeVere. It is I think it's just came to the U.S. not very long ago. I have the box to it somewhere here too.
Please do, because I don't remember.
Oh, you didn't like this one very well. So
I didn't like this. This is when you and Steven killed me on with the damn worms.
The artwork in Silk is awesome. It looks just like it looks like Studio Ghibli art. So like a Miyazaki movie that doesn't really exist because it's not part of an IP.
Hi, John.
So I really like the artwork. It features a dude. Oh, stay down. Look at that. This lazy bastard keeps falling over. Flat Maurice keeps falling over. So this features your shepherd, your mastiff, which is like a dog with horns, which is pretty cool. And then you've got these silkworms. So that's the name of the game, is farming silkworms.
I did not like it at all.
Well, let's talk about what it is and why you didn't like it. I think I know exactly why you didn't like it.
Why? Why is that?
Because it's not the kind of game where you can learn as you play.
It is not. You have to know all the rules before you start, which, as I'm sure most of you know that listen to the podcast, I'm not very good at listening to the rules, and I kind of learn as I play. This game, you have to know what piece is able to put where and catty corner to what, and three spaces away from what corner. Not for the learning how to play person. It doesn't work.
All right, Steve has another gem. So speaking of Steve Irwin dies as he lived, with animals in his heart. Oh God, Steve, too soon, mate. We don't like that down here in the outback. He's just giving me an excuse to use my great Australian accent.
No,
that's
he's
all
not.
he's doing. Thanks, Steve. I don't need much pressure to
He's
do
not.
that, but I'll take a good setup anytime I can get it. Next up is my brilliant New Zealand accent. All right. So yeah, Silk it's got a paper, rock, scissors type mechanism where, one type of piece will bump another piece, which will then, make this cascading thing. So one piece beats one piece, but doesn't affect another one. And that's what you're doing, is like manipulating that around, and you're just trying to raise your little silkworms up to score points. And it's got a dice rolling thing where you roll 2 dice and then you pick action with those 2 dice, and everybody has the same actions to pick from. And you can mitigate that by spending your actual points in order to change the die face. Each point you spend, you can change it up or down one. I liked it. I thought once if you got a grasp of the rules, which Leandra did not, and then she didn't want to know because by the time she would have been able to figure it out because she didn't listen to the rules as usual. Then it was too late. Me and Steven were like smoking her. So, but
Hey, look, we have another one.
we got another person.
We do.
It's Deanna. Hi, Deanna. That's Deanna from Playco Games.
Hey.
They're also going to be at Moon City Con. They were there last year as well. So,
You didn't say hi to John either. I said hi
hello,
to John.
Johnny boy. That's my old good buddy John Suarez. He's here. Wonder where Angel is, John. I don't know why you're not getting on him about this. John, I don't know if John's played a board game past. Oh, no, I was going to make fun of him, but I think he actually was talking about wanting to play some D&D with his kids. And I wonder, did you ever get around to doing that, John? I gave you some tips and pointers on what, board gamey type games might be good to start with. Did you ever do any of that? Let us know, John. And so Deanna and Mike run Playco Games, and they're on listening to the this here live stream. They are going to be vendors again at Moon City Con again this year. They've got games such as Monster Tea Party, Civicus, and one other big one that Danger Dinosaur. They all come in. They're all small box games with a lot of varying degrees. Like some of them are lighter kids type games, on the way up till the Civicus is more of a kind of roll and write civilization game, which is a really cool game as well. So check them out as well, Playco Games. And don't forget, if you pledge with the NSFWP memo on our Kickstarter right now for Moon City Con, we will give you a free t-shirt. So don't forget that. I know some people on here already have, but you can also, if you can't come, like say you're in Texas, like some people on here, and you just got $35 burn a hole in your pocket, I will send you a free t-shirt just for doing the $35 to our Kickstarter. So there's that. And if you ask real nice, some people, I just might send you a t-shirt anyway. Who knows?
John said he ignored you.
Yeah, he probably did.
No, about D&D.
Well, I know. Well, it was his idea. He was talking about it. I just thought I would give him some pointers about what was going on there.
Huh? Hi, Nick.
What's up, Nick? Hey, that's Nicole.
Yeah. That's why I said hi, Nick.
All right. So, Silk, I liked it. Steven liked it. It's a good, I think it's a pretty lightweight game, actually. But it's got really cool artwork, really cool pieces. There's little meeples, different little meeples for all the Mastiff and the Shepherd and the Silkworms. Lee didn't like it.
Hated it.
So, but you did say afterwards, like a day later, you're like, I kind of want to play that game again because now that I understand.
Well,
it.
it's because I don't like to not understand a game. Like I want to understand it. So I always go in not understanding what I'm doing, and then I usually end up winning. But this game, I did not end up winning, and I didn't understand it, and that's very frustrating. And so I feel like I need to actually study the rule book so that I can play and win.
Or just listen whenever I teach the
That's
rules.
highly overrated.
All right. So, next up. What's next on our list, babe?
Haven.
Haven you did like, right?
Yes.
Haven is a game from...
Oh, I did like that one.
Designed by Alf Siegert. And you might recognize this type of artwork if you're a board gamer. It's by Red Raven Games, and the art is done by Ryan Lockett, who is the owner and usually game designer, and also does all the art for his games. So Haven has beautiful artwork, as you can see. as all Red Raven games do. He doesn't make bad
hang
art.
on, now we're live, so now you can show them what you did to that dude.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know how well they'll be able to see it from over there, but
they might not be able to.
So it comes with standees, which most of Ryan Lockett's games do. So the standees, of course, everything's in little bags, but the standees are cool because they got his artwork on them, right? But standees are standees. So there's three little Titan guys that walk around. They're like elemental dudes. Ooh, listen to that crackle. That's going to sound awesome.
That's fun. That's okay.
ASMR people.
They're fine.
But anyway, so I painted some little miniatures for these guys. If you go and check out our Instagram, you can see a close-up of them. So there's like a plant dude who I had to sort of make because I couldn't find a plant one that I liked.
But he painted all these, and they turned out really good.
Then there's a rock guy, which I don't think anybody's going to be able to see any of this stuff. But anyway.
But that's half of the fun of this game is the fact that it comes with all these cool miniatures and that you took the time to paint.
Well, it didn't come with them. I had to do them.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it had standees. I had to get miniatures that fit those standees and then paint them. Yeah. But so this game is a 2-player only game. Alf Siegert has made Fantastica, another game called Trollhalla. Both are interesting games. But this one to me is really cool because it's an asymmetrical 2-player game. So each player gets a deck of their own. One player plays the forest and the other player plays the city. Both are trying to control the land and build either cities up or re-beautify the forest and not let the city encroach in. And you're doing that by a little board that you're putting your pieces on, as well as playing cards to this center section to try to win these different these 3 different things every round, 3 different rows basically you're playing cards to. And you can play some of your cards face down, some of them face up. And so it's very simple in the rules, and but also very close because we both played for the first time, and I think the difference was 1 point.
Yeah, you won.
So there's a lot of back and forth where you can really, push and pull, and it's going to be a close game. It's very well balanced, even though both teams have like different abilities. So I really thought it was cool. I want to play again now that I got the miniatures painted because, just wanted. As soon as I played it, I was like, yeah, this thing needs to be pimped out, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
So if you like 2-player games that have a little bit going on, then Haven is a good one to check out.
And buy the miniatures.
Yeah, good luck because they were hard to find ones that fit it. All right, so last episode we talked about being late up on Concordia, the game that everybody seems to love, and we had never played it. So Concordia is your generic trading in the Mediterranean during the Roman times, and it's card-driven, where you play out cards to take actions. That's it. And then you're just putting pieces out on a board and trying
to show them the box
to do things. Yes. Now this box is beautiful. The original Concordia had a really ugly box, but this one has a much more beautimous box. So check that out. Check that artwork out. That's a heavy son of a bitch too. That's full of a lot of crap. So listen to that.
Can I look at the back of it so I can get a refresher?
Okay, so you played at least 3 games of this. In Concordia, you are trying to get different resources by building on to different cities that have those resources in them, and you're doing that by playing cards out of your hand that say you can move your dudes and you can move your ship, and then you can build or get resources from those cities that you have that you've built in previously. Ringing any bells at all, babe?
Sure, I am trying.
And a whole day of playing it with your sister and everything else, and with Kelsey, with the baby screaming in here.
The baby. I remember the baby being here.
Oh my God. Okay, well, we really should have refreshed you before we started recording.
We should have.
You said you didn't want to be embarrassed, yet you don't remember a game you've played 3 times.
Nope.
Wow.
Sure don't.
Really?
No. I wish I had a picture of the board and stuff.
You're disappointing me now.
I'm sorry I'm disappointing you. I'm sorry. So this usually all happens before we start recording?
No, it happens while we record every time. You don't remember getting all these resources and putting them on
Oh,
the screen?
yeah.
Oh, God.
That was a fun game.
Yeah, so what else you got to say about it, babe?
Let's
see. You didn't win.
No, I never won.
No.
And there are a lot of different ways that you can go about getting points. Like, I never once in any of the games that I played, I never got any vases. Or wine, or what is that?
Wine. Yeah.
Wine. Never got a single one of those.
Yeah.
I also didn't win, but it was pretty close in points. I think.
It was very. Actually, I think
we
you
played
did.
with Vaughn.
Yeah, we played with Vaughn,
and
you,
Kelsey and Toya. Yeah,
and we played together, just 2 players
yeah.
as well. So, I think the way to win in this game
I
is
won
hard
with the
to
boy,
tell.
with you boys.
Maybe.
I did.
Yeah, I think you
and
did.
I didn't get any wine. So
Which is great since she didn't even have any idea what she was playing. It was pretty good. It was pretty good for you.
It's awesome.
So
no, but what did I had something that added up. Oh, I kept on getting all those extra cards that would give me extra points at the end of the game.
Oh, okay.
That's how
That's literally how you score
Yeah.
points. So that's the only way to score in this game. So what's cool about this game is that you're just doing that normal stuff that you do in any game with a map. You know, you're trying to spread out and do whatever you're doing. But when you're getting those different resources and stuff, you're also buying cards with them. Like you're getting those resources to sell them, to make money, to buy these cards that are up on a row. That's literally the only way that you score points. So everybody starts with the same cards in their hand that'll score a certain amount of points. Then will score for certain things at the end of the game, and then you're buying new ones, so you're tailoring how you're going to score. So you're buying cards that will like give you points for having the most wine cities, having built in the most wine cities, or getting cards that give you points for your settlers, so your people that you put out on the map, or getting cards that and you can buy multiple of the same ones and they just multiply
on top of each
so
other.
you can focus on one thing and try to do that really well, or you can try to do everything, decent and lots of different ways. So that's one thing that's hard to teach in that game the first time you play it, is like how to score points like that, because you don't ever score points at all until the very end of the game.
So if you don't get cards, you don't get any points.
You don't get cards that reflect. Yeah. If you don't buy cards, period, you're screwed. But if you don't buy ones that score for what you've been doing in the game, because you're going to be doing something the whole game. You got actions, you're going to take them, right? But if you don't buy cards that give you points for those things, then it's not going to be worth. Everything you did is not going to be worth points at the end of the game. So you could have buildings built all over the map, but if you didn't buy the cards that score for those, no dice. Now, I'll be told shut down immediately by people who played a lot of this game. But the only time I've ever won was a couple weeks ago. I had a whole Concordia day for Catherine's birthday, and I played a couple of guys who played it a lot. But I just went for the most expensive good that's on the map, which is what seems like everybody who beats me all the time always has a bunch of money. Yeah, the cloth. So like that's this like silk, I guess is what it is, or some kind of cloth. It is the most expensive resource, but it's also, once you get on there, it gets more expensive for everyone else to build when you've already built. So if you start building on all those early, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer idea, but I did that and I had so much money that I could just do whatever I wanted. So, I mean, you still have to play and get the cards that make that worthwhile. But to me, I don't know why you would want to do anything else. But I've had people say, well, as soon as somebody does that and makes that expensive and everybody thinks you got to do that, then you go for the wine, which is the next most expensive one. And then you can do the same thing with the wine and it's cheaper.
I always start off with the cheap way and work my way up.
Yeah, that's what I used to try to do and never worked out. But so I'm sure that's not the only strategy, but if you ever play it, just get cloth and make money. That's a good way to go about winning Concordia. So what do you think about Concordia now that you remember what it is?
I do like it.
And because you were immediately like, oh yeah, well, I'll play that again. Let's play that.
No, I totally do like it. That was super fun. I like the aspect of that the cards. So the cards that you get, they not only give you points, but they give you actions too. So the card is two different ways to handle it. So it'll be this card's going to lay down, and this means that I can take this guy's turn next time. Like whatever he played, I can repeat whatever this person played. So
that's your diplomat. So,
yeah.
So if you got something that you've already played that you really need to do, as long as somebody else plays that card at some point and you have your diplomat left, well, you just copy their card. And that's a good deal. And you can get more of those. So you can get a whole bunch of those in your hand and be like, I'm copying everybody's stuff, And then we've got the Venus version, which I mean, all it really adds team play, which we have yet to do. We haven't played in teams where 2 or 3 players can be on a team, which is weird. Add some cards that you've got to, like one person plays an action and then other people on the team take that action as well at the same time, which is really weird. But we've used some of the other special cards out of it, and it doesn't change the individual game hardly at all. So, but it is a much better deal because you get the base game plus extra maps and the expansion all in one with that new version, the Concordia Venus version. So that's Concordia Venus, designed by Matt Gertz and Rio Grande Games. So,
by the way, none of those notes are on here. All of that information as far as producers and designers and things like that, he just has it. It's ridiculous.
Well, you don't have it, so I have to.
No, I don't.
You don't even remember the game.
I don't. I'm sorry.
All right. So All right. Does anybody have? We're gonna open this up. If you're still out there and you want to say something, let's talk. Otherwise, we're gonna like cut off the live stream and finish recording this sucker the old-fashioned way. And hopefully this has actually, worked. Again, if you're interested, we got our Moon City Con Kickstarter going for the convention in September 6th, 7th, and 8th. It ends in 19 days. So if you want to go and you're local and you haven't got your ticket, just know that tickets are as cheap now as they're ever going to get, and you get much more stuff than if we have any tickets left over afterwards. The price will go up, and you won't get as much cool swag. You'll still be a great convention to go to. I don't want to turn anybody off of that, but, So Steve says, Chronicles of Crime sounds awesome. How does it compare to other mystery type games you played? Well, like I said, we haven't played Detective. I know that Secret Cabal are big on Detective. I want to try that one, and I almost picked it up before Chronicles of Crime, but that whole, actually looking at the crime scene with the virtual reality or the
that's
360
really
thing,
cool.
that's what sold me on the Chronicles of Crime.
And it's all on QR codes. So every card has a QR code. So your app just reads the QR code and it comes up and it tells you, what that person said when you ask them a question about this specific clue or this person or whatever. So that aspect is really neat too. You're not looking through a book like in the Sherlock game. You're having to just thumb through this big old long book and go to this page, to this page, to this page. So having the new app version of it is really cool.
Yeah, I think that to me it beats Sherlock Holmes. Now I've had people who really like this genre, like on Twitter and stuff, say that they just can't get into Chronicles of Crime because of the app takes them out of it.
Yeah, I like that.
But I think to me, there's something to be said for that cool old map that in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective and trying to remember what you've done and taking your notes and stuff.
It's old school and I like it.
This is just a streamlined version of that. So, and I think the ability, because the problem with, like we talked about before with Sherlock, was that if they made a typo, then they're kind of fucked because they can't go back and fix that without reprinting a whole thing or putting a fact for you to put a sticker in your book. There's a lot of that. In this one, they could just update the app and then boom, problem fixed.
And being able to, take your iPad and literally go like this and see the whole entire room from top to bottom is super fun.
Yeah, it's good. So, I mean, I'd say especially if you like what Detective has done from what I've seen, it's Detective is just a little bit more of the mix of the two. It gives you that modern part where you can look stuff up, but it also gives you the old school it doesn't hold your hand probably as much as Chronicles of Crime. Chronicles of Crime may hold your hand a little bit more than Detective. I'm not sure.
What's that other game that we played that was detective-ish? Crime something.
No.
Time. It was time something. Time. Yeah, it was in a white box.
Time Stories.
Time Stories.
Okay, so yeah, Steve I know is a big Time Stories fan.
I love that.
I think that Time Stories would be like 100 times better with this type of application support because the problem with Time Stories is just that you're backtracking and you're redoing so much of the game. I didn't like that part. That's why we dropped out of Time Stories.
But we didn't drop out until we got to the
D&D style one.
Yeah,
that's the one
the zombie one was fantastically fun.
No, the first one was the best. The
Which
Asylum.
One?
That's
yes,
the one.
Asylum.
Which everybody
Gosh,
says
that was fun.
They really shot themselves in the foot because that one was so good.
So fun.
And then they dropped some of the things that made that one so good, and they went on to changing the genre so much. But not only the genre, what made that first one cool was that you really had to look at every card and study it.
And it was creepy.
Yeah, and then they got away from that with the other ones. The zombie one had a little bit of that, solving the codes, figuring out the codes and stuff to safes and stuff. You had to go back and look at something you've seen before. So I think if Time Stories was to get a new version with app support, it would be really good.
Asylum
was definitely the best.
Absolutely.
And that's what I mean. I haven't heard a single person that's played Time Stories that didn't think that was far and away the very best, module for it. So the fact that they haven't gone back and done an Asylum 2 version, you know what I mean? Which would be kind of hard with the way that one ends if you've played it. So, but I remember we did that and we were blown away by that game the first time we played it. We were like, holy, this is a whole new thing in games.
It is.
And it's been they've done such a take on that genre in so many different ways with the escape room games and stuff and the unlocks and all those kinds of games that I think other people have figured out how to do that better. But
anyway, yes, the crimes game. Yes. I absolutely love it. I totally get it. You'll like it.
Yeah,
right?
I think they definitely need to try
Yes.
it since they're big fans of the other ones.
Absolutely.
So,
Tiffany is very excited to be on here.
Tiffany's very excited.
With famous people, she
Oh,
says.
we're so famous. We're so famous. Well, let's keep talking about games then. So, we've played a newer family game. So, from a company called Days of Wonder that they make Memoir 44 and Ticket to Ride. Probably people have played Ticket to Ride. I know Tiff's played Ticket to Ride. So, that's their like bread and butter game that they make all their money off of. And because they make so much money off that game, they usually only make one game a year. So they made 5 Tribes and they made all these usually it's a really highly, critically acclaimed game. Well, this game that they put out this year kind of came out with sort of a whimper. It's called The River. And it looks good. It's got the beautiful artwork like they normally have. It's the one I didn't get the box out for, but
I remember this one.
so I will get the box for it. So The River, the thing about it is it is a very family accessible game. So like it's the closest thing to a Ticket to Ride level game that they played, or that they've made since Ticket to Ride. But here's the box. So as you can see, beautiful, bright artwork like Days of Wonder is always known for. But what it is it's a worker placement game. So worker placement is a big genre in board games. You know, you've got your Lords of Waterdeep and your Viticulture, you know, how many other games, Euphoria. You know, worker placement is it's about putting a dude down in a spot and then you block that spot off most of the time and somebody else can't take it. That simple. So you put your piece down and you block someone else off. Seems simple, right? But it makes for all these really good gameplay choices and situations. Well, this game is the most simple version of that you could ever do. It's about everybody gets a little board and it's got a river that twists and turns around the board 3 times. And there's little slots to build building things in all the way through the river. So you follow it from left and then you curve around and you go, or you follow left to right and then you curve and then you go right to left and then you curve one more time. And there's a board out in the middle where everybody's trying to get bricks, wheat, wood, food, and
turkeys are wild.
Yeah, turkeys are wild. And I don't know, there's one other resource. I forget what it is.
Stone.
I said stone, wood,
brick, and wheat.
Brick and wheat. Or no, brick and food. That's it.
Yeah.
So, and turkeys are wild because they're wild turkeys, which like tickled you whenever
when I realized they were wild turkeys, I got a little tickled.
And all you're trying to do is get those resources to in certain configurations of them. Like, you know, I need six brick and 3 wood to build this one building. That's just going to score you points. That's it. But along the way, you can also go and get these different tiles to place on your board. And those are going to give you different resources when you go to those spots. So usually whenever I go to get brick, I get as many brick as showing on my board. Well, I only start out with say 2. So if I go to get brick, I'm only going to get 2 brick.
So you can upgrade your location spots on your board. So if you go to that and you've upgraded your little spot, and now that one card shows 3 brick, let's say, you know, so if you go get brick and that one card says 3, and you have maybe 2 other ones, you get 5 brick.
Yep.
So that's the whole point, is you want to upgrade all of your different spots to have better versions, of course, and you have to have little barns to be able to hold all your food.
That's important. You got to have a place
Yes.
to put it, because if you don't have the barns, then you could be getting a bunch of resources that you have nowhere to put them. But it's so simple that we played with Lily, who, you know, Lily does not like to learn games, even less so than Leander likes to listen to rules. Lily does not like to listen to rules. And she played it, totally got it.
Hi, Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy. Hey, Jimbo. So for her,
Tiffany's tickled that we said 3 wood.
3 wood? Oh, is she tickled because of the golf terminology, or probably not?
No.
Probably a little bit
not
more.
the golf terminology of it.
So, well, get your 3 wood ready, Tiff, and we'll continue. So as far as worker placement games go, if you've never played, like normally everybody says, you know, the intro version, the intro game to play to introduce someone to worker placement is Lords of Waterdeep. Well, Lords of Waterdeep is not that simple of a
really
game.
not.
I mean, it's not terribly hard, but if you've never been introduced to the concept.
I mean, that was the first one we ever played.
Yeah. But say you're going from Ticket to Ride. I think maybe the river is a much better spot to start
I
with
agree.
than to go straight.
Lily played it.
Yeah. So, and she totally grasped it. So like that is actually that intermediate step, I think, between like, say, Ticket to Ride and then, or Catan even, and then on up to, before you get to Lords of Waterdeep or Viticulture or something, you know, try the river out, because it is really one of those games that is kind of underrated, because everybody thought, oh, it's so simple. Wow, why would I want that? And I sort of thought that too. Like, I bought it just kind of sight unseen because everything that
Hi, Megan.
that Days of Wonder makes is really good. Hi, Megan. But then I didn't open it, and I was going to give it away for Christmas because I was like, I keep hearing it's so simple. I keep hearing it's so simple. But then the tide shifted. Like right after it came out, everybody was saying it's so simple. Then I started hearing a bunch of people saying, no, it's perfect.
It's simple, but it's really fun.
If you got, like, I think you and I could play it in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, so just like a quick 2-player. So if you want to get,
It'd be a good family game too. Like, like I said, the three of us sat down and played it, and Lily, after a round or two, was able to understand what she was doing, and she's like, "Well, I want to get this card because I want 2 more brick available." Like, she totally got it. So, I mean, it's a really good starter game into worker placement.
and I think that's exactly what it's meant to be. And I think so if you go at it looking like that, looking at it from that perspective, it does exactly what it wants to do. But it's not a dumb game for people who, you know what I mean? Like gamers can play the game. They're just not going to have they're not going to say,
It's not
there's a
obviously
ton
it's
of
not
heavy
heavy.
decisions. There's not. But
Which wild turkey am I going to get?
But I do suck at it. Like I cannot seem to figure out the fastest way to be efficient and get points in it. You're way
win.
better at it than me.
It's a kid's
So-
game. It's not a kid's game, but I win.
So that's The River by Days of Wonder. I say thumbs up on
Yep,
that one.
thumbs up.
All right. So anybody else got any games they want to talk about?
We have 6
Tiff?
viewers.
Tiff, you want to talk about any games? You've been playing Ticket to Ride at all?
I didn't know she played Ticket to Ride.
I think I heard her talking about it
Are you
around
sure?
Christmas time or something. Yeah.
Huh.
She may go, I don't know what you're talking about. But I think she
I
did.
didn't know she did
Because
that.
we bought a whole ton of Ticket to Ride after you decided you really liked it. And
I
we
do
have
really
played
like
it
it.
like once or twice. We played the New York version a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I got Europe and then the one of the expansions. I don't know. I see the German name for it, which is Zugum Zuck.
Sure.
But I don't know what that translates to. All right, let's talk about another game.
What's the next one?
So the next one is, you didn't play this one.
I did not.
I want you to, but it's Vault of Dragons. It is by Gale Force 9. It is a reskinned version of their Sons of Anarchy game. Which, I mean, I never tried, and it shouldn't be any good, but for some reason everybody said it was a really good game. So I thought, if they're going to put a D&D skin on it, how can that be bad? If everybody says the game's good anyway, it's only going to be improved with D&D, right? Right?
She hasn't. See, I didn't think she
Oh,
had.
okay. Sorry. Well, we'll have to try and show you Ticket to Ride, Tiff.
Oh, you're teaching viticulture at Geekway?
I think that's Steve. Yeah, Steve's trying to wrangle me into doing that, which
He is a very good teacher at viticulture. We've
That I
played
can do.
lots of times, so he can teach it.
that I definitely can do.
Yes.
And I'm always up for playing viticulture at all times. But I won't teach you the base. You have to. So basically, if I teach you the game, you got to have the Tuscany stuff because it's no bueno without it, I don't think. So at least the essential Tuscany edition. So,
We've never played with the cheese.
well, we never play with half of it, but we say that every time because we're never going to play with the cheese. So is Vault of Dragons better because it's got D&D? No, it's not. I would love to tell you that it's just the most awesome game ever, and it is kind of cool, but I think the fact that I paid $60 for it or $55 for it or something, it has a ton of typos and misprints on cards and on the tiles and on all this stuff. Some of the miniatures are messed up. And you can go buy the Sons of Anarchy version for like $15 right now. And if it's good, just do that, because if it's essentially the same game.
Wait, Sons of Anarchy, like the show?
Yeah, the show. Well, yeah, no,
Oh.
like a whole different thing.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't
like
know
the
Sons of Anarchy
motorcycle guys.
merged in with board games.
Yeah, they did, but I mean, why would that you wouldn't think that would be good, right?
No, hell no.
Yeah, but apparently it was. So if you can buy the Sons of Anarchy version for $15, don't waste your money on the version that they just tried to, paste another theme on, and they didn't even do a good job of it. So I would not recommend Vault of Dragons. Okay, now on to a biggin, a big. So
yeah.
what is it, babe?
Cerebria.
Cerebria, and I got the box down here, weighs like 100 pounds. and
That was flippin' heavy.
Cerebria is a very heavy game
Very.
in both weight in the box and in rules. It is by the guys who made Tricarion and Anachrony, which we love Tricarion.
We do?
Also a very heavy game, hard to learn the rules, but once you got them, you don't forget them. I think Cerebria is sort of the same way, only it's about 10 times harder to learn.
He did not tell me how heavy this game was before he started explaining the directions.
I never do. I cannot tell you that it's going to be super hard because you look at the artwork is beautiful.
It took him,
It's-
I clocked it. It took him an hour to explain the directions to the girl who learns as she plays.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in.
So here's the box artwork for the expansion anyway, because that doesn't weigh as much for me to hold up. So like the artwork is awesome, and the theme of the game is basically like Inside Out. It's like Inside Out, the Euro game.
And I was in a bit of a mood that day, so I chose to be the bitchy people.
Oh boy, yeah, you were the gloom and I was the bliss. So basically, you're gloom. If you play 2 players or 4-player teams, you play as gloom and bliss. And there is a third faction that can be played with 3 players or 6 players, where they play balance and they're trying to work a balance in the two. And all you're doing is like play on this circular board and you're just playing cards down to take control of these different areas. But sounds simple, right? Because you're playing them for the numbers that are on them. No, not that simple. Because every single mechanism in this game has another mechanism layered on top of it. And even the area control part, it's not as much as like there's 5 areas, right? But then inside those 5 areas, there's another 5 areas that overlap in between each one of those, and you're trying to control those in a whole different way with different sets of cards that are all placed in the same fashion. I mean, it is so hard, like what you're doing, but once you get it, you're like, oh, okay, well, it's not that big a deal. But to read it out of the rule book and then get it out on the table and make it all make sense was pretty daunting.
And that's another one where you have to know what you're doing before you start playing.
And that's what you said when I started teaching. I was like, well, let's just start playing. And you're like, wait a minute, no, because I'm looking at this. You're looking at your player board with all these actions that you could take, like 20 some actions that you can upgrade, and you're like, yeah, I need to know what all these mean before I play. I'm like, really? Because I would love nothing more than to tell you what all those mean, but normally
and I had to learn them before, which is why it took us an hour for me to understand the whole game and all the rules before I started playing, because it was absolutely necessary.
And then what happened? You beat me.
And then I won.
Yeah. I'm such a good teacher. So, yeah. So you're basically, you're playing your gloom or your bliss down. Hey, Justy. To take control of these different areas.
Hi, Tiff. Thanks for listening.
In this mind that you're doing, and you're getting these little crystals and you're spending those to do actions, and then 100 million things going on in this game at all times. But the pieces are awesome. You got these miniatures that represent the different, like, anxiety or happiness, or I don't remember what all they're called. Those are the 2 we played with, I think. And then you're building up this, what represents when the game ends is you're building up this big tower in the center of the mind. And once somebody scores the final time, they put their little cap on there. And then each one of those pieces are either of your gloom color or your bliss color, and they're going to score you points at the end of the game. Plus, you score some points during the game. But so you add all that up, and actually the scoring and stuff is very simple.
It was.
It's just about the actions that you can take and how everything can be upgraded. Your actions can be upgraded. Your cards can be upgraded. You can deck build in this game, so you can take the cards that they recommend, or you can go through and like pick and select your certain cards that you want to use for your character. Very, very, very complex game, but once
3 hours.
3 hours to play, an hour to teach, right? So, but now that we know it, it's like Tricarion. We could throw it out and play it again. It's no big deal. Can we? Yeah, but we never teach anybody else. It's like you're always like, let's play Tricarion.
I know. I want to teach Steven. No, we wanted to teach Steven Brass.
Brass, I'll teach him. I did teach him Brass,
but then he had to
play.
leave. Yeah.
But I refuse to teach anybody Tricarion or Cerebria. I just don't want to. I taught you, and that's enough. We'll just play them 2-player.
There you go.
So that was a big one. This next one that we're going to talk about is another big one. That's the hotness game right now. That is Root by Leader Games. Designed by Cole Worley. I do. Cole Worley, and it's got art, which is the art is worth mentioning, by Kyle Farron.
Yes. I enjoyed this game. The art is really cool. You gotta see this box.
Cartoony.
Look at that.
Little woodland creatures.
Isn't that fun?
And the graphic design is very simple but very good.
So this game, what was I?
Again, very hard to teach.
It is. It is very hard to teach. I was the bird people.
You were the Erie.
And you were the...
I was the...
foxes?
I was the cat. I was the Marquis de Cat. So...
Oh, how long did you play with Craig?
With which one?
I assume Cerebria.
Oh, how long to play Cerebria with Craig? Oh, God almighty. Well, that is a thing that comes up very frequently whenever we're like Tricarion and games of that nature, where it's like, I would never play this game with Craig. And we love Craig. But see, the thing about Craig nowadays is people will just tell him that there's certain games they won't play. Now, I don't mind playing
But
long games with Craig.
He said he's trying.
He is trying. But see, I'll play long games with Craig just when you know that it's going to happen. You know what I mean? But yeah, when you got a game that's already taking too long, you don't want to add Craig in the mix because
we're gonna hurt his feelings.
No, I love Craig and he knows that. But the thing is, he'll win every time. That's the problem.
Will.
So it'd be one thing if you played a long game and you thought you had a chance to win it. But when you're playing with Craig, you know you're in for a long game and you're going to lose, which that's the worst part about it. You got no chance. He's going to beat you. So
True story. True story.
He's too smart for his own good.
He is. Okay, back to Root.
So Root is basically, it's called the game of woodland might and right. And it's basically about little animals murdering each other. But every little animal faction that you play plays completely different than the other ones. So the birds that you were playing,
yes,
were all about programming, right?
Yes.
So again, this was one of those where I was like, let's just get going. And you're like, I got to know what's happening on this board. So how did you figure out to play the birds?
A lot of trial and error.
Actually, I think you did really good at the beginning, more so even than after.
Yeah, I got a lot of people eaten.
Yeah, in the second game, it's like you're programming all your actions into these different slots, and you have to. The thing about the birds is they have to be able to do every one of their actions, or they get this thing called turmoil, which means they got to wipe out all their cards and start over.
Yeah. So my first time I played, I had a lot of a wild card, and so I was able to pick whatever location I wanted to go for all these different actions, and so that's how I was able to fairly easy win the first time we played. And then Ben's like, hell no, we're playing again. So you played again. And I didn't get any wild cards. And I maybe turmoiled, maybe twice the first game? Total. The second game, I turmoiled it within the first two moves. Probably a good 6-7 times throughout the whole entire game. Like, I just couldn't get an engine going. I wasn't getting those wild cards. And so when you pick a location to go to for a specific task, you have to go to that same location next time. And if you don't have anybody here, well, then you're screwed. You have to start all over again. And I just was constantly turmoiling.
Because the basic mechanisms of the game is that it's card driven. So you got a hand of cards, and they've all got suits of like bunnies and foxes and rats, mice, I think. And you have to basically play a card of the that matches the spot on the map that you want to do something in, you know, whether you want to move from there or have a battle there or whatever. You have to play a card that matches that. So, oh, sweet. So yes, Steve says that Root is rad, and I agree. So you got to play a card that matches that spot on the board. This is the thing, like, okay, so the only things that are the same for any of them is movement and how battling works. Everything else about what you're trying to do to score points and everything is completely different. So the birds are programming, and they've got to do, move and battle. So you got to do all these things in a certain order every time. And as the cats, you just got this big list of all these actions that you can take, and you get 3 actions, and then you can play wild cards to take more actions. And so you got more flexibility, but you also, as the cats, have to keep this momentum by building up your buildings really fast and getting scoring your points before the birds like spread out, because you start out spread it out and the birds have to spread out. But the birds are scoring points every round pretty much for the whole game.
As long as you place your little roosts, you get to score points based on how many roosts you've put out.
But as the cats,
every round, you're
only scoring when you build your building. So if you score them, I mean, the good thing is if they get knocked out, you cover up that spot, and then you can score that point again. So I've played now as the Vagabond, which is this little raccoon dude who plays all by himself. So everybody else has like 20, 25 different little warriors that they're putting out. Then the raccoon has one little dude, and he just goes out and he's like trying to explore these ruins, and he's trying to trade cards to people to get their items that they've made, and he scores points for doing all sorts of different stuff, and he's not really about fighting that much, and he can move in and out of these places on the map a lot easier than everyone else, so he's different. Then I played at 4 players finally, and my buddy John played the Alliance, which is the other thing in the base box, which is all the other animals basically. And they are by far the most complex, because I watched him play half of a game and I had no idea what he was doing. Like, he's spreading sympathy around on the board, and that sympathy allows him to like just take a bunch of different actions where he has it. So he can play a card out of
And
this.
what character was that?
That's the Alliance, the
Oh.
Woodland Alliance, the green ones. So he could then like just play a card that matches that area that he's got one of those sympathy tokens in and like take some of your dudes off without even fighting. Just
That's cool.
immediately remove them. And he scores points in a whole different way than everybody else. So when you teach this game, you're not teaching one game. You're teaching one basic set of rules. Then everybody has to learn.
Different faction has its
Every
own
faction
rules.
you have to learn that. So the first time anybody plays this game, I've taught now that one game where I had to teach two people to play the cat and the bird and teach myself how to play the Vagabond. That teach took a good 30 minutes, just to teach the game. So there is barrier to entry, but once you've played your thing for like a round, you get it.
Sure.
You get what you're doing. And whether or not you do well or not, just all depends on, how well you do.
And
But
card drawing too,
yeah, there's card draw in this game is big,
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a really cool game, and I got the expansion, but the expansion factions are even more ridiculously complicated than the base game factions. So
But it's a fun game. I
might
enjoyed
be
it.
a little bit. So Root, that's the big deal. They're getting ready to do another Kickstarter real soon for another expansion to that one. What's the last one we got? I just wanted to mention this last game that we've been playing. So we always mention Wingspan. I think we've talked about it the last 2 episodes. So Wingspan by Stonemaier Games, designed by Elizabeth Hargrave. Awesome game. Get it
love
if you've
it.
never played it. Wingspan about bird watching sounds lame, but it's actually a really cool engine building game.
So I have an obsession with the mini Cadbury eggs. So not like the chocolate ones with like the cream in the middle. Not those. Those are disgusting. The little ones, the hard-shelled ones that come in the big purple bags. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I have been trying to stay clear of them this year because I can eat my weight in them. And so Ben comes home and he's like, let's play Wingspan with the mini eggs and whatever eggs you have on your board, you get to eat. It's
at the end of the game.
Really?
As I said, at the end of the game. Because if you've ever seen Wingspan,
they look exactly like the little wooden eggs that come in the game.
Yeah, they have the eggs that you score, that you use in the game that have little flat bottoms so they stand up. The only thing is the Cadbury eggs don't stand up very well.
So as soon as he lays this game out, I was like, oh my God, those are little mini Cadbury eggs.
I mean, everybody says they look like candy, but they look exactly like the Cadbury
eggs. You should check
eggs.
out our Instagram page because it's on there.
We've got them like side by side, and it's like the same colors, pastel colors, and everything. So we did it. We played it, and I was like...
So I got my first 3 eggs on my board, and I ate one like immediately.
As you try to replace it, I was like, no, you eat your points.
You just ate a point. And I was like, but wait, no, there's some more. He's like, no, you just ate a point.
If you eat your points, you eat your points. And I knew that was going to be my advantage in this game.
Dang it. So I had all this whole board full of eggs, and I couldn't eat my points until it was over.
So at the end of the game, she just started doing the make egg action over and over. I'm like, you're not even trying to win. You're just trying to get a bunch of eggs. So yeah, if you can get, this is the time of year that if we can't be the first ones to ever think of it, but whenever I did put it on Instagram, it got a lot of likes because I was like, I think people were just like a light bulb went off on people's heads. They're like, oh my God, we can get the thing that, because everybody knows they look like candy, but now there's the thing that you can actually use as those pieces that
they're perfect.
They literally are candy. So that's all we've been playing lately.
Yep.
We'd like to thank everybody who watched this live stream.
Yes.
And we're going to go do the rest of the podcast after we take a break and go throw up from our nervousness. No, it hadn't been that bad. You guys have been awesome.
Yes, thank you guys so much for watching.
We're going to remind you one last time to check out the Kickstarter for Moon City Con. Go to mooncitycon.com and click through the link there, or just search on Kickstarter for Moon City Con. If you put in the memo, if you buy anything from $35 up, just put NSFWP podcast in that memo, and we'll get out, me or Lee, we'll get a hold of you, and we will get you a free t-shirt of your choice, either a Moon City Con one or an NSFWP shirt. And if you do the $100 pledge, I'll make you any shirt in the world that you can imagine.
Nice.
All right. We'll talk to y'all later.
Wait,
Steve, good night, sweet prince and princess of Maine.
There we go. All right. Well, good night to you, sir.
That must be a, okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't know it either, but I know it's a quote from something.
I don't got
Where is it from?
I'm sorry.
We should know that one, babe.
I think we should.
We should. We're lame.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Well, Steve, we
failed.
You're the sweet prince of Pennsylvania, so we'll talk to y'all later.
Good night.
Now, how do you turn it off? See,
you have to get up and go do it.
And we'll be right back with the Meeple of Madness Music Minute. All right, we're back. It's the Meeple of Madness Music Minute, the thing that's more than a minute. We will tell you about some music that you should be listening to. I'll tell you about some awesome newer music, and Leandra will tell you about some old crusty music because she doesn't listen to anything that was made past 1965. So, Lee, let's get yours out of the way. What is your recommendation?
Why do you want to get it out of the way?
I mean, let's put yours up front and center. Let's really focus and put the spotlight on yours.
So, I have recently discovered that I flipping love musical soundtracks. And so now I'm listening to more musical soundtracks, and I just found Funny Girls soundtrack. I freaking love it. It's so good. And I know it's not new music, and I know most people don't like musical soundtracks, but it's really good. They have the overtures at the beginning and all the people, and you think about all these people playing those instruments, and it's fantastic. So anyway, I've been listening to Funny Girl nonstop, and Phantom of the Opera and Wicked and Mamma Mia and Chicago. And
how's the Funny Lady soundtrack?
I haven't watched Funny Lady yet.
Oh, geez.
I know.
You're so into Funny Girl, but no Funny Lady?
It's not on Prime.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so I know it's old school, but really, if you like that kind of music anyway, and you haven't listened to it or haven't given it a try, give it a try. Funny Girl soundtrack, it's fantastic.
All right, that's your musical Meeple of Madness musical minute. No, I love it. I love it. If you love it, babe, high five it.
I do love it. I'm doing my best not to break out one of the songs right now.
Why not? Because I'm not going to play one. So
you should. Why won't you play one?
Because I'd have to download it first. Ugh. Then I'd have to have it on my computer.
Really?
Yeah. Really. Can I get it on Amazon Music?
Yeah, that's where I get it from.
Okay, I'll play a snippet of what song?
Do the clip with Mr. Onstein. Here I am. That one.
What song is that?
I have no idea.
I have no idea how am I going to find it. Okay. Well, if there's not one called Here I Am, you'll hear nothing.
Marching in my parade, Mr. Onstein, Here I Am.
I'll play something off of it. I'll just pick the first thing. It's
one of those ones where I'm in the car and my arms just start wailing everywhere and I'm singing at the top of my lungs. It's so fun.
Okay. I love it. And you guys have Leandra to thank for this clip from Funny Girl. We'll be right back with my pick.
Don't tell me not to live, just sit and putter. Life's candy and the sun's a ball of butter. Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade. Don't tell me not to fly, I simply got to. If someone takes a spill, it's me and not you. Who told you you're allowed to rain on my parade? I'll march my band.
And we're back.
Wasn't that fantastic?
It made me just want to get up and dance and shake my little fanny tail.
Have you ever seen the movie?
No.
It's really good.
I'm sure you think so.
Oh, hush it.
I'm not really a musical guy. But what I am is a good old-fashioned rock and roll type fella. Please. So this, rock is kind of a dead genre. It really is. I mean, people play it, and if you want to go find good rock, you can go to lots of underground clubs and indie music. But just to find a good, what I call straight-ahead rock band is tough. And this band that I'm going to feature, they're called Pickwick. And their first album came out a few years back, I think about 4 years ago. It's called Can't Talk Medicine, and it is really a very just straightforward, in the way of the Arctic Monkeys or somebody, where it's sort of a throwback, but it's got a modern sound. That album really got me because every single song on that album is awesome. The lead singer's voice is great. The band is great. I love the guitar player. The song I'm going to play first is off of that album. The album is Can't Talk Medicine, and the name of this song is Hacienda Motel. And then I'm going to play a little bit of a song off their newest album. The newest album is called Lovejoys. And at first listen, I thought, oh man, they've kind of changed their sound because it's much more modern. But the more I listen to it, I also find that there's not a bad song on this album either. So I'm going to play a little bit of a song called, the very first song on that album called Turncoat as well. So I'm just going to kind of play one into the other. The first one will be Hacienda Motel off their first album, and then the second one will be Turncoat off their new album. And then we'll be back with IRL.
That horse you left you bloody on the motel floor. Even though she took your money, oh, you know she needed more. Didn't wait around to tell her that the closing hours with no one else around. Something about the way I felt her. No one should have known. You might think I'm mad. Started with a chain reaction.
All right, and we're back with IRL. So, we did a little experiment in this episode. Hope everybody made it through it. This is a shorter episode than most of ours. We didn't do any kind
I
of
think we were rushing.
featured segment. We were, but it's weird trying to juggle like
Yeah.
the comments and stuff as well. Probably could be, you know, done better than like we interrupt what we're saying to read the comments. But also
sorry.
you want to no, it's okay. You want to acknowledge that, you know, that people are actually interacting, which is really cool. And I really thought that was cool that we did get some people on there. I hope that we move some tickets to Moon City Con. I will again, if you're listening, remind you that we are offering anywhere from the $35 range all the way up to the $100 range. If you put in the memo when you back the Kickstarter, there's a little place where you can put a memo to the creators. Just put NSFWP podcast in there as kind of a little code. I see all the backers, so I'll check them. And also you can shoot me or Leander a little message on Facebook on our page and let us know that you did. So I'll be looking for it. We'll give you a free shirt, either a Moon City Con shirt or an NSFWP podcast shirt. Or if you back at that $100 level, I'll design you any t-shirt that your little sick, twisted mind can imagine. I ain't scared. So again, that's the end of the plugs for that, but please check it out because our Kickstarter ends in 19 days and we've funded already. So, I mean, it's happening, but we want to get as much, in on the Kickstarter as we can to make up for the Kickstarter fees, one thing, but the other thing is because, we want to be able to focus in the time before September, to really plan more than last year. We really were doing a lot of last minute worrying because we're like, is anybody going to show up? You know, we sold a lot of our tickets day of, which now if we do, that's fine. But the more money we get in, the more games we can buy to give away. We're putting all this money back into the con. We're not pocketing it. We're putting it into the con for this year and for years to come. So just know that. So if you're into a gaming convention in Southwest Missouri, check out Moon City Con on Kickstarter. So babe, what do you got for IRL? What's been going on?
Well, IRL, let's talk about Mean Girls.
The TV show from the 90s?
No. The phone call I got from my almost 10-year-old.
Let's not mention any names.
I'm not. She called me in tears that a girl at school again was mean to her and told her that she couldn't be friends with her and broke little Lily's heart. And we're the ones at home dealing with my sweet little baby whose heart is huge and just gets stomped on every time this girl decides to turn the wrong way and drop Lily like a bad habit, and then the next week, oh, Lily, come be my friend again. Oh, never mind, Lily. Oh, Lily, come be my friend again.
Well, and it's not just this one girl. It's what happens with, I don't want to just say with the girls because it happens with boys too. It happens with kids of that age where they group up and they got their little cliques, and then the clique, it's like you always find the weak one to pick on. It's not that Lily's weak, it's that she has such a soft heart. She wants everybody to be friends, and she wants to be friends with everyone, and that makes you a target to kids that like to pick on other kids. So if they can get a reaction out of you by being, dramatic or being mean, then that's what they're going to do, and so
her birthday is next week. She's going to be double digits. And what tipped her over the edge in her phone call to me today was thinking that these girls are going to be mean to her on her birthday. Yep. And it just broke her little heart, and she just started bawling. I've never in my life wanted to throat punch some little bitches
You have to be careful about threatening minors.
I know, but that's how I feel.
No, and we're telling her as well. It's like, retaliating in anger also is not the answer. It's like, the best thing to do is if you feel like you're being ignored by someone, is two can play that game. Just ignore them back. And that's when you don't give the reaction, that's whenever, it doesn't become fun for bullies.
Yeah, trying to find the right answers for her on how to handle this isn't how I want to handle it as a mom, but it's how I have to handle it for her. You still have to be kind, whether she's mean to you or not. You're not allowed to be mean to people, but you don't have to interact with her. You don't have to, you just don't have to even acknowledge her, but if she's around, you can't be mean. You can't be rude, but you also don't have to go out of your way to be nice to her either.
And you know what's weird? Like, and this is not to be rude to you at all or anything, but not just you, like other friends of mine that have problems with their friends, because you've had problems with friends. I've had problems with friends. Even when I have problems with my own friends, it doesn't hit me in the heart like it hit me when Lily's telling me about this. Or, I've heard plenty of adults complain about their friends and stuff, and never do I feel the empathy. Because I'm also like, well, you're an adult. Just tell them to fuck off if they're pissing you off. You know what I mean? Because I'm like that. If I don't like somebody or they do something that's completely, out of character or against my code or whatever, then I don't have any problem just dropping them. Like, I've done that many times in my life. Some people don't do that, but I can turn cold on somebody real fast, So my situation when somebody tells me about a friend that's being an asshole, I'm just like, well, just drop them, just drop them. You don't need that, right? You're an adult. Find other friends, It
doesn't work that way.
But for when she told me that, called me today and was telling me that, I just was like stabbed in the heart, just feeling so bad for her.
And she kept it together with Daddy, and then she called me, and then she was telling me all about it, and it wasn't until she mentioned her birthday where she lost it. She's like, they're gonna be mean to me on my birthday, and it was just full on crying. And I was like, they're not gonna be mean to you. I'm bringing in cupcakes. Everyone's gonna be happy to have cupcakes.
And I'm gonna smash it in their
little faces.
So we bought her flowers and Starbucks Frappuccino, and she was in much better mood.
And I bitched about it on Facebook, and everyone that loves her wrote her all these wonderful things that she just went through and read, and it made her little heart happy, and she was smiling. So I'm so thankful for that. But man, that's a hard parent time.
Yeah,
that's
very hard.
rough.
And we're just getting into that stuff. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And
I mean, I don't want her to be the mean girl, but I don't think the mean girls get hurt as much.
I don't know. I think they do that because they're getting hurt in other ways. Their home life is probably not great, and most of the time bullies and people that like drama are like that because they see it all the time and they think that's what people do.
I guess.
The older they get, the more they emulate what they see. And so I think kids that thrive on drama probably see a lot of drama in their real life too. So,
changing subject. Should we give a little sneaky idea about what we have in the works?
Yeah, we should talk about that. This is your idea, so you talk about it.
So, drunk history. I don't know if everyone knows about that. So, drunk history.
Everybody knows.
Everyone knows about it, but just in case. So, you research and learn a topic, and then you get completely shit-faced drunk, and then you have to tell about your topic. So we've done this a few times. on our own.
Obviously, it's a Comedy Central show. That
Yes.
but we used to have parties where we would do drunk
We would
history.
just have drunk history.
And
So
we'd
everyone
film
would,
it, and
yes.
then
And then
everybody-
we'd get to watch it, and it's so much fun. It was so fun. So I had the idea of doing drunk board game.
Yep.
And so me and Vaughn and Steven and Ben are going to get together in the next couple of Saturday nights, and we're going to get a little toasty and play a board game and record it and have it as a little special segment on the podcast.
And I'm like trying to think of games to play, and
Oh,
Lee's
come
like,
on.
Lee's like, well, we should keep it simple. I was like, yeah, not too crazy. I mean, it'd be fun if it's people are a little confused, because that'd be fun. And she's like, yeah, real simple, like sorry. And I'm like, no, no.
Why not? I think it'd be fun.
You can't get me drunk enough to play sorry, babe. It's not gonna happen.
Stop.
No, we're gonna play some fun games that. So what I
What
think.
about Candyland? No. I'm
I hope
getting
that
the
was
evil
a
eye.
joke. See, I would think that was great if it was a joke, but I don't think you're joking, and I'm very upset with you right now. I'm very, very upset with you. So no, what I'm thinking about doing though is making a list of some games, some like party-ish and lightweight games, and then putting a poll up and seeing what the listeners
What game they want us to play, drunk board games.
But also, I think we could play 2 or 3 different like games, and then that will be maybe good. And I'm just gonna edit it down to
the fun stuff,
the best of the worst. So. Yeah, we're going to probably try that next episode. So if we get anything worth doing, if we don't, we'll say it was a complete bomb and it didn't work out. Like, I really want to play that game that I can't remember the name of by the Illimat, because the worst fail that we've ever had playing a board game was Illimat, because we were too drunk. My buddy Shannon was in from New York. I think we told this on the podcast, but...
And then you guys fed me a whole bottle of wine when I got here.
Yeah, we had already been drinking whiskey all night long, and we're like, "Oh, you'll like this game." And me and him have been playing games all night anyway. And he's a gamer, and he's like, "You'll like this game. It's this cool abstract card game." And we had played that game like 3 or 4 times.
We couldn't remember the
and we could
rules.
not figure out the rules again.
No idea.
And we taught him, but then even in the middle of the game, we were like, "Now what do we do? What does this what does
We
this
had
do?"
no idea what
we
was
were so
happening.
drunk that we just quit. We're all just like, "I can't do this anymore," because we're trying to talk at the same time we were playing and stuff. And we're like, "Yeah, let's just not play this
We're
game."
not playing.
So that may be one of ours to test our ability, because we already know we can't play that one when we're drunk.
Nope, not
we
at
are
all.
officially drunk if we can't play Illimat. So then we move on to Sorry and Candyland after that. Okay.
Okay.
So look for that drunk board gaming coming up in a future episode, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see how much our livers can handle. But so that's
really
pretty much it, right? So that was episode.
Someone ran into our car.
Yeah, somebody ran into our car at the chili cook-off that we did for Moon City. We did a big chili cook-off. We had a booth and made some chili. Catherine's recipe last weekend, and it was fun. It was hard. It was like 12 to 15 hours of work to make all this chili for people, and we didn't sell a goddamn ticket there, because that's the thing, like why we're doing this grassroots stuff. We've done a lot of good promotions for Moon City, is why we sold out in 7 hours, got our funding, in 7 hours, was because we did a lot of grassroots stuff. But when you get your name out in a place like that, we were just a small fish in a huge pond there. And that's the one thing about Moon City. Like if you're a vendor there or something, or a person who wants to talk to a designer or whatever, it's a small enough convention where you can do that in a really easy way, and it's not like a big bustle and a hassle. That chili cook-off thing was humongous, and we were just one booth out of hundreds. So I was in there for 15 hours, walk out the place, and my car was parked in the same place the entire time, and our brand new Buick, somebody had cut the corner too hard and just shaved off the corner
Smashed
of
in
our bumper. So that was great. That really pissed me off. So we got to get that fixed, but that's, such is life. Good, we have insurance and everything, so no biggie. But that's IRL, man. People
Consider
run
it a
into
hit
your
and
cars.
run on our insurance.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I believe it. And that's a better result than hit and runs that I've had in the past, because before, I remember when I lived in Dallas, I grew up, I got my driver's license in Dallas, Texas, which is one of the craziest places to drive in the world because nobody has insurance. And I had insurance like an idiot when I was, 16, because everybody just has fake insurance cards. So what happens when there's a wreck is everybody that can drive away just scrambles like a bunch of bugs. And I got in this 3-car pileup on the freeway where I slam on my brakes to avoid rear-ending someone else. Then someone rear-ends me and pushes me into the other person. So my car got it worse than everybody's. I got it on both ends, just totaled it, right? Insurance company goes, well, and then the two people, the guy who I hit and the guy who was behind me, drove away. And I'm the only one left there. Obviously smashed up on both ends, and I tell them what happened. And they're like, well, because there were other cars involved, somebody could come back and make a claim on you. So we're not going to cover it, and we're dropping you from the insurance. And I was like, oh, well, thanks,
I think
Progressive.
That's illegal.
Thanks, Progressive. Well, it wasn't illegal in 1996 because that's when they did it. Or, I mean, it could have been, but I was also 16. So what was I going to do about it? So, yeah, insurance sucks.
Well,
but we're old people, so we got good old people insurance.
We do have good old people insurance.
So anyway, anything else, babe?
I don't think so.
Don't think so?
I think that's really about it.
Well, there's one thing that always happens.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen now, too. And I mean, I don't know. He's taking his sweet time working his way up here. And
I think he forgets what we're doing.
He does. He forgets to be ready and on cue. But Maurice was featured on the video earlier. So people got to see a little bit of Flat Maurice and live and in person. But, oh, here he is. He's going to make his way up. Oh, look at that. Right on cue. I mean, he's always got one locked and loaded, so you can't fault him for that.
Nope.
Sometimes it just takes him a little while to get, camera ready. All right, everybody. That's it for episode 29.
Thanks for watching and listening.
Yes, thank you. We won't do that every time, but hey, if we got a reason to, we might try that again sometime. It was kind of fun. So that's it. We'll be back next episode with some sorts of other things having to do with board games, and we'll be totally slosh drunk. Hopefully not when we record, but at least we'll have some pre-recorded drunkenness. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to episode 29 of the Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast. If you want to hear more of our nonsense, go to www.nsfwppodcast.com or check us out on Facebook and Twitter @NSFWP Podcast. We'll talk to you later. Bye.